now like to turn the conference call over to your host for today, Mr. Rodney Hunt. Mr. Hunt, please go ahead.
Well, it's actually Dan Goosen, but that's not your fault, operator. Rodney sitting here, and just so we can get this thing going, I want to thank everyone on the teleconference, especially on the West Coast, to get you guys up early. We appreciate the participation and getting ready for the return of Andre Ward in his battle with the number one rated Edwin Rodriguez. Before I get to the guys, thanks to HBO, Ken Hirschman, Mark Taffet, Peter Nelson, and Michael Lombardo, all who stepped up to make this fight a reality. Also, we got some new sponsors that were tremendously anxious to get involved in this promotion. One of them I haven't seen out there before is Toyota. They became our presenting sponsor. We've got Morongo Casino and Resort and Spa and the City of Ontario, all three very much behind this event. So a special thanks also goes out to Steve Eckerson over at Citizens Business Bank Arena. Anyway, November 16th, I'm going to experience something I haven't experienced in many, many years. As a matter of fact, I really can't remember having a fighter of Andre Ward's level coming back after having major surgery, and a lot's been said about his level of performance. I guess the same type of questions that are out there when people are discussing Kobe Bryant and how he's going to come back, and all the other great athletes that have had major surgery. There's always that question: will he come back stronger, or will the surgery prevent them from being at the levels that they've gone to before? With Andre, he's not taking a weak guy coming into to this event. I mean, as we all know, it was certainly out there for everyone to read. HBO especially felt that Rodriguez, Edwin, not Delvin, was the challenge that they wanted to see Andre in the ring with. So, the one constant I've seen since Andre got back into the gym is his determination to be great again. And like the rest of you, we're going to all find out on November 16th whether or not we believe he's still worthy of that number 2 pound for pound title, or if we're going to see what I believe, and I know Andre and his camp believe, that he'll inch closer to being that number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world. Promoter of Edwin is Lou DiBella. He's unavailable. I know we've got a few of his guys on the phone. Lou's has always been great to work with. But on his behalf, I'll introduce you now to the number 1 super middleweight in the world, Edwin La Bamba Rodriguez. To say a few words, Edwin, would you please address the media, and then I'll turn it over to Andre.
Definitely. I would like to thank everyone for being here. Thank you for this opportunity to HBO, Ken Hirschman, and Peter. Hey, this is, I'm fighting the number 1 guy in the world. I'm really excited. I really feel like this is my time. In this fight, you guys are going to be seeing Andre Ward trying to be great again, and me becoming great. And so I'm excited, 100%, and I'm ready to go. We have a great game plan for this fight, and we're ready to go.
Thank you, La Bamba. Now it's my pleasure to introduce him again to the media after 14 months. As a matter of fact, when he gets back to the ring, it'll be right around 14 months. So we haven't been able to do this lately. The WBA and ring world champion and current number 2 pound for pound fighter in the world. You've seen him lately as an on-air announcer for HBO, Andre S.O.G. Ward. Andre.
Thank you, Dan. I want to thank everybody for getting on this call. Of course, HBO and all the sponsors that Dan just named. What can you say at this point? Fight night is on a week and a half away. I love this point in camp because, we still got some work to do, to finish up this last week and a half, but most of the hard work is done. I mean, I've dedicated myself like I always have. We've been locked in, like we don't, me and my team, and me specifically, I don't get caught up in that, is he going to be the same? Is he not going to be the same? I know where I'm at, and I know what I got, and I'm better than I was before I left, and I'm just excited to display that against Edwin Rodriguez. He's not, some guy that should be taken lightly. We've never taken him lightly, and, I said this in the press conference that we followed Edwin for probably the last year and a half, 2 years, when both of our names started coming up, and his name started coming up as a potential opponent. So I take this game very serious, not just in training camp, but when I'm away from the, when I'm away from the ring, and I study this sport. Like I've always been like that. I'm a student of the game, and I watched Edwin. I know his strengths. I know his weaknesses. And I'm just excited to show up and put on the show. I know he's going to come and bring his best. He's got a great team behind him. I got a tremendous team behind me. And we're going to see who prevails. And I'm prepared to win this fight and dominate this fight.
Thank you very much, Andre. Operator, why don't you open it up for Q&A with the press?
Thank you. If you would like to ask a question or have a comment, please press *1 on your telephone keypad. This will place your question in the order it was received. Once again, if you would like to ask a question, please press *1 on your telephone.
Your hand is raised. Please ask your question when prompted. Press the # sign to lower your hand.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hi, Andre.
Hey, Dan.
So, as Dan said in his opening remarks, it'll be 14 months by the time you get back into the ring next week. Can you just talk a little bit about the process of your recovery and getting back to the point, because you were on such a high after the dominant knockout against Chad Dawson about 14 months ago, what it's been like, just the frustration of having the fight with Pavlik canceled, having the surgery, and then dealing with your recovery and then getting the fight set up, which was not easy. It's been a little bit of a difficult 14 months, I would think, from a professional standpoint.
Yeah, it's been very difficult for many reasons, as you just mentioned, and just before I touch on the injury and all of that stuff, I mean, one thing I've accepted a long time ago is that this is my story. This is part of my journey. Floyd, Bernard, they've all had moments in their career where things happen and they had to overcome, and just I can name people for the next 20 minutes of great athletes who had to go through things. Dan mentioned Kobe earlier, not just injuries, but just life stuff happened. So this was coming off the Dawson victory. And one thing I'm going to clarify is that this isn't a new injury. This is so even though I was disappointed to have the setback, this was an old injury. I partially tore my rotator cuff 16, 17 years ago, and we just dealt with it. I just had to deal with it, build the muscles up around the rotator, and as the Pavlik fight was approaching, it got to the point where the doctor said, okay, we need to go in here and fix this. So obviously he went in and fixed it, and I'm able to do things with this right hand, and I have power in this right hand that I never had before. And if I didn't, I wouldn't say that I did. I would find another creative way to say that I feel good. But it's a different scenario, and I'm excited. So from the business side of things, throughout this last year, the grueling rehab, being away from the sport, it helped me mature a lot as a young man. But it gave me a tremendous amount of hunger, and I thought I was hungry before this happened. But when something's taken away from you, against your will, and you're reading things, and you're around the sport, but can't participate. I mean, that's either gonna make you stronger, or you're gonna fall by the wayside and get distracted. And fortunately, I got hungrier, and I never stopped working out. I wasn't just laying on my back rehabbing the shoulder. I was grinding. I was working out, doing my strength work, doing what I had to do. So when I got the green light to come to the gym, all we had to do was knock the rust off and get sharp, and we've done that up to this point.
Andre, with the fight being a week away and getting back in there, before you fought Dawson, and coming off the long layoff, but before you fought Chad, you had a long layoff also after the Froch fight with the other injury, I guess, and then your wife had the baby and the whole thing. So you had 2 long layoffs over the past couple of years. How much forward are you looking to just sort of like putting all the delays and the unexpected time off behind you and getting on another roll like you were when you were rolling through the Super 6 tournament?
Well, I think the the 8 month layoff after France was, that wasn't a physical. Excuse me, that was more business. We made the transition, obviously, from Showtime to HBO. That took time, and that I had nothing to do with that. I've had minor setbacks here and there, but the thing is like I've been in the sport for 20 years. Coming up on 20 years, 10 as an amateur, 9 and some change as a pro. And I'm a max effort type of person. I've grinded my body for 20 years, so things are going to happen. You have a hand injury here. You're going to have, the cut leading up to the Fox fight. There's nothing I can do about that. I wanted to, had a great head gear, didn't do anything wrong, wasn't a hit, but it just happened. So you just got to try to take this stuff in stride, Dan. But I agree, man. I'm looking forward to getting through this fight in spectacular fashion, and then getting on a roll, because I think that's what people don't see the best time support.
All right, that's great, Andre. I have a question for Edwin. Edwin, good to talk to you today. Edwin, you were a guy that had a good amateur background. You had obviously you were undefeated as a professional. Got a chance to have a couple of fights on HBO where you were the winner, and then whatever happened, you ended up going over to Europe. Not a lot of interest here at that point, but you really made the most of your opportunity over in that tournament in Monte Carlo by winning it and just the devastating knockout you had against Graychev in the final. Can you talk about just how big of a deal it was to go overseas, have that experience in the tournament, and really put yourself on the map as far as a guy that a lot of people now believe deserved the opportunity to fight for a title?
Going to Monte Carlo was a great opportunity that my team put together. At the time, 68 was packed, and there was a lot going on, and I couldn't get the opportunity that I was looking for. And Monte Carlo came in, and it was a great opportunity, good money. So it was a good experience to go out of seas and fight good fighter, not as good as Andre Ward, but fight good fighters to help me get prepared for this fight.
And the last question is, how prepared does a Graychev or Moderna make you for a guy that many people consider in Ward to be one of the best, couple, 2-3 fighters in the world at this point?
Mentally, I have been in there. Mentally, I'm prepared and I'm ready. I understand that Andre Ward is at a whole different level, but I have proved that I'm also at a different level that all my opponents that I have faced. I understand that Andre Ward is undefeated, but so am I. He has to figure me out just as much as I got to figure him out. So I'm not worried about all the hype. I'm ready, and it's a week away now. It's on.
It's on. Okay, fellas, thank you very much for your time. Good luck to both of you.
Thank you, Dan. Next question, operator.
Our next question comes from Robert with FightNews.com.
Go ahead, Robert.
Good morning. Question for Mr. Rodriguez. I had a chance to chat with Mr. Ward about a couple of weeks ago, and he was wondering why you didn't bring up the drug testing in the negotiations, and called it a publicity stunt to just raise this question at the press conference to announce the fight. Why didn't you bring this up during the negotiations before the contract?
Because it wasn't something that I was negotiating about. I got a sponsor that was going to sponsor me and sponsor Mr. Ward. He came on and said that he was willing to do drug testing, but after this fight, so it makes no sense. Why not do it for a fight that is going to be paid for? That's one thing. And then he had the opportunity to say yes or no when I had Victor contact him and his team to say yes or no, and then it wouldn't have become a publicity stunt. It could have been just easily resolved, yes or no. Him and his team kept pushing it. Virgil Hunter kept saying, I'll talk to Ward on Friday before the press conference, and it never happened. So we never got a word from it. So I just asked him there to see why not. If he would have given me an answer, it wouldn't have become a publicity stunt. But the fact that he answered my question with a trick question by asking, is that a trick question? No, but that sure was a trick answer. So, I'm not saying that Andre Ward is not isn't a clean fighter. That's not at all. I was just bringing it up because I had the chance to get it paid for, and it wasn't going to come out of his pocket, and he's a clean athlete. He has always shown that. Then why not take it? Why would you say that you're going to do it for other fights, but you're not going to do it for this fight? It doesn't make sense. So, it wasn't a publicity stunt in my case. He tried to make it seem like it was. Why? I have no idea.
Can you talk a bit more about the sponsorship you mentioned? The prospect of that?
Yes, I work with Victor Conte. I've been working with Victor for about almost 2 years now, year and a half about. And it was an opportunity to, he was sponsoring the test through VADA testing or USADA, whichever Andre decided if he wanted it. He didn't, but I ended up doing it myself on all year round.
How many times have you been tested in training camp?
Twice. I actually got tested yesterday again, and I got tested about 4 weeks ago.
Mr. Ward, your thoughts?
I still don't know if he answered the question. And saying all of that, I don't know if he answered the question about why wasn't it brought up the way it's supposed to be brought up if you're serious about taking drug testing in negotiations.
Because it wasn't a negotiation. I wasn't saying if you don't do this, then the fight's not happening. And I'm still not saying that the fight's happening regardless. So that's why it wasn't something to negotiate about. So, you're a clean athlete. I'm a clean athlete. Why not do it? Why is such a big issue to make it a negotiation?
That's what you do in negotiation. That's what you do in negotiation, just like you negotiate.
But I wasn't negotiating. It's not a negotiating.
Here's what I'll say. Whether it's a negotiation or not a negotiation, usually something like this where two parties have to agree on something, it's written form. So, Edwin, you hit the nail on the head right now by saying that you're both clean athletes. So, I'm more concerned about the fight.
That's my point, Dan. I don't mean to cut you off, Dan. Let me finish my point. In negotiations, it's simple. Just like you negotiate for your money, if it's something that you got a concern about or something you want to do, you don't wait until you get in front of the media and try to, pull some publicity stunt and try to look like I'm going to save boxing and be the clean guy here. You bring it up, say, this is something I want to do. Is he willing to do it? That wasn't done, and I don't know how. And I don't know how many months we were in negotiations because everybody knows it was a long, drawn-out negotiation. And then furthermore, I'm not privy to anything Victor said to Virgil or whatever. And this, and you understand that Virgil has other fighters in the Bay Area that work with Victor. I'm not one of them. And that being said, I don't need Victor to sponsor me. I mean, he's on the other side right now. I'm going up against his fighter, so I don't need Victor to sponsor me and do me a favor. And it's going to be done the right way. When I have an opportunity to sit down with Martha Goodman and talk to her, and things get done the way they're supposed to be done, then I'll do what I want to do when I want to do it. But you're the challenger coming into this fight. You don't make demands, especially where you made them, and expect to get something done. If you were serious about it and professional about it, you bring it up the right way. That's how it's done.
Well, we agreed to disagree because it really wasn't a demand. If it was a demand, it would have been on the contract and it would be that and negotiation, but it wasn't. Because like you mentioned, I understand that I wasn't in that position to be negotiating over that. So all I was saying is, I got this, I'm doing it, will you be willing to do it? Obviously you're not, which is fine, but don't try to act like it's a publicity stunt. And if you and your team don't communicate, and Virgil,
I don't know about
whatever it is.
I don't know about any conversation those guys had.
It is what it is. I mean, you also got an email. You know about it. Victor sent you an email. You didn't want it.
Listen, man,
and it is what it is.
Conspiracy theories and all of this stuff. I ain't never seen no email or none of that stuff. Period. And at the end of the day, what you got to understand, and your team needs to understand, it's not about, this fight ain't about violence. This fight ain't about content. It's about me and you. That's what this fight is about. And anything that's contrary or taken away from that is a distraction. And we haven't allowed this to distract us.
Operator, thank you, Edwin. Thank you, Andre. Operator, let's go with the next question, please.
Our next question comes from Alexis Terrazas with San Francisco Examiner.
All right, Andre, I got a boxing question for you. You mentioned that you and Edwin, no worries. You mentioned that when you and Edwin were both making your guys' rise, that you kept an eye on him. He has an extensive amateur background, as you do. Is there anything that he does that you have not seen before in a boxing ring?
No, I mean, I think, being in the sport, like I said, for almost 20 years, you know, I've fought tall fighters, I've fought short fighters, I've fought aggressive fighters, I've fought wild fighters, I've fought, sparred, been around, you know, been involved with all sorts of different styles of fighters. And, you know, you hear Floyd Mayweather say it all the time, it's about adjustments, you know, because what you see on tape can, you know, it's going to be similar fight night, but they're going to make adjustments too. And who's able to make the adjustments and implement the game plan and get the job done under the lights with all the pressure when it counts the most. And that's what it boils down to, and that's what I try to do. You know, we watch film, we study, we do what we have to do. And we're prepared from that standpoint, but it's about getting it done on fight night, and that's what we're planning on doing.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned at the beginning of the conversation that, you know, there's still like some work left to be done in the gym. You want to elaborate on that at all?
Well, I mean, that's always my mindset. You know, I feel like there's work to be done until the fight is here. But, you know, if I had to fight right this second, I'm ready. You know, just the other day we fought 14 rounds with 4 different guys, not just, you know, for just any guys. We got young guys in camp that's bringing it, and you know, they're trying to make a mark for themselves, and it's my job to hold them off every day. And you know, I hit 172 pounds last week, so I'm ready. I mean, if I had to fight right now, I'm ready. But it's always, as a perfectionist and somebody who wants to be perfect, you know, you always look at things, and then you feel like it's always work to be done. But if I had to go right now, we can do it.
Do you feel the different fighter since the surgery repairing that tear in the right shoulder? Do you feel different?
I do, man. I do, because, again, it was already torn and it got fixed. So, you know, it's the difference between having a healthy shoulder and, you know, tearing it and then putting it back together. It was already, you know, injured, and we put it back together. So, you know, kind of a different scenario. So it's definitely better than what it was. And I know everybody will see that. You know, it's stronger. It's more powerful. And, yeah, so, you know, I have no worries about that. You know, rust and all that stuff. I think, you know, the media and probably, you know, my opponent and his team are more concerned about that than we are. And to the media's credit, rightfully so, it's the storyline leading into the fight. But, you know, we've prepared, and, you know, my mindset is not in camp. It hasn't been, let me knock the rust off. Look, you know, we're grinding. We're grinding. And you know, a reporter had a headline a while back about, you know, Ward's trying to stop Rodriguez from taking it, something of that effect. And that, you know, to me, that's a defensive posture. I'm not trying to hold Rodriguez off. I'm coming to take something, even though I have the title. Let's get another victory and defend my belt.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, yeah, thank you, Andre. I have a question for Edwin, if that's all right. Edwin, likewise, is there anything that how do you feel? Do you feel like you're ready for this kind of level of opposition? You know, have the guys in the past that you faced in the past?
Definitely. I feel like I've been ready for a while now. Like I mentioned before, I want to take my promoter, Lou DiBella, aiming for getting the fight that I want. I've been asking for this fight for a while now. This is my time. I'm ready.
Did you ever watch Andre in the amateurs and think, okay, this is an opponent definitely in my future?
Of course, you know, somebody that went to and get a gold medal in a year that nobody else was able to do it. Of course, we're very familiar with Andre Ward and all his accomplishments in the Super 6 tournament. You know, of course, it's someone that in the amateur days was someone that, you know, we looked at and we're like, wow, you know, we're proud of this guy for all the accomplishment that he has done. So, but, you know, this is a whole different level. This is about me trying to become great. And he's in my way. You know, there's nothing personal against Andre Ward. I think he's a good fighter. I'm just ready to get in there and become great.
Do you care to share a game plan on what you want to do?
Say it again?
So do you care to share, like, a game plan on what you plan to do against Andre?
Hey, Andre hit it right on the nail. This is, you know, it doesn't really matter how much tape you watch. Once you step in there, it's about adapting, staying ahead of your opponent. And that's what I plan to do on November 16th.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Richard Dialcio with Examiner.com.
Please ask your question now.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Hey, Andre, I want to ask you, recovering from the shoulder surgery, did that have an effect in your camp in any way, both either, you know, positive or negative? You mentioned that you're developing and you're feeling power in that right hand. So is that anything that you guys changed things up, you and Virgil, that you haven't done in the past?
No, I think for the most part everything is everything was the same, but you know, he catches me on the mitts. Obviously, he's been watching me since I've been a boy. He's been well aware of the shoulder situation, and it's not something that we broadcast because it's not something you do.
Sure.
You don't let the world know you have an ailment or something going on. But now that it's obviously we had the surgeon that's out there, we can talk about it. And he's just an amazement. He's like, man, this is he said, I catch you, I feel you, and so we just looked at each other in amazement at just how powerful this shoulder is, and just how it's allowed me to throw certain kind of punches that I was never able to throw. But in terms of the preparation, it's been the same old grind for the past I don't know how long. It's the same mentality and the same physical work we always put in.
Yeah, and I want to know, while you were away from the ring recovering, what were some things that you did to stay sharp as an athlete? Was that anything that was introduced, new that you hadn't experienced before in terms of just staying, sharp as a conditioned athlete?
Well, I mean, initially, the good thing about my physical therapist was, again, it wasn't a place where you go lay on the table and they just tinker with your arm for an hour and then send you off. Like I had, for many months in rehab, 2-3 hour days straight, sometimes 4 hour days where I would do the rehab work, my upper body stuff, and then I would just condition. I would condition and I would strengthen my body, and I've been doing strength and conditioning work, for years, and I think that's a misconception with strength and conditioning work. People think you can become a monster in 8 weeks, and it's just not possible. It's the years and years and years since I've been a kid that's got me to where I am. And I just wanted to maintain that early on, and then it went from just maintaining it to getting with my performance coach, Eric Dixon, and getting back in the boxing gym and just getting back to my normal routine.
Thank you, Edwin. How does this training camp? How did this change for you, preparing for an athlete who's at the top of his game but looking to get back? So what kind of fight are you preparing for in a couple of weeks here?
I'm preparing for the best Andre Ward. I'm preparing for the guy that went in the Super 6 tournament and beat the guys like Mikhail Kessler when he was the underdog. That's what I'm preparing for. I'm preparing for someone that is coming back hungry, and I'm preparing for the best Andre Ward.
And then, deep down in your gut and your feeling, what kind of Andre Ward are you going to see after that initial opening round? Is he gonna sense your pressure, your skill? What do you think is going to be his reaction after that first round?
It's going to be adapting in the ring. He's able to do a lot of different things. He could fight from outside well, he's fighting the inside well, so it's all about adapting and being better than what he is in every aspect.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The next question comes from Jerry Hoffman with ESPN Radio Central. Mute on.
Good morning, guys. Best of luck to both of you on the 16th. Looking forward to Ontario. A couple questions for Andre. Most fighters these days that are boisterous and arrogant and disrespectful seem to get more buzz. But you're a solid citizen. You're a family man, religious guy. Do you think that you're shortchanged at all because of your nature?
I think it's possible. I've heard that before. I definitely feel like in this day and age, just speaking about the sport of boxing, because I think, boxing is probably one of the only professional sports that doesn't have a conduct code. You know what I'm saying? You can get penalized, but then you see other guys, who, like maybe a Manny Pacquiao, who's humble, he has his lifestyle or whatever, but he doesn't get penalized. So it just depends, and sometimes I've been made out to be a villain, and I don't even act like a villain, but it comes with the territory. Sometimes when you're outspoken about things that you feel strong about, or things about the sport, sometimes, people want you to be seen and not heard, and I'm just not that individual. I'm very respectful. I respect the media. I respect the sport. I respect all fighters, even my opponents, but, there's certain things when it comes to this sport that I'm passionate about, because I've literally given over half half my life to this sport, and I dedicate myself to this sport. I don't cheat this sport. I'm serious about this sport. So when I see injustice in this sport and things that are not right or double standards, I don't address everything because it's not my job to address everything. But certain things I do address, and I speak up about it. So I think it's a combination of maybe me not, acting a certain way, and then also being outspoken and speaking up and standing up for myself when it's time to do that. But at the end of the day, man, I wish I could please everybody, and I wish everybody loved me, but that's just not a reality, man. God has blessed me with a gift. He's blessed me with a platform, and that's what's important to me, being an example, and I don't do everything perfect, but try to be the right representative of not only myself, but this sport, because I care about this sport dearly. And it kind of is what it is. I mean, people, if they're for me, and they write good about me, so be it. If not, then, you can't do anything about that.
Well, on the subject of respect, I remember talking to you a few years ago in San Jose, and you said, I'll face anybody in my division, but not Bernard Hopkins. Things have maybe changed a little bit, and would you consider fighting Bernard if the situation was right?
I mean, I think the situation with Bernard is what it's always been. For whatever reason, you get some guys, and you look at Chad Dawson, for example. He had a thing with, the veterans and the legends in and around his weight class. Glenn Johnson. I think he was lobbying for a fight with Roy, Joe Kawasaki. He eventually fought Bernard, I think, twice. He went after those guys. He called them out. He wanted to fight those guys. I don't have a desire to call a Bernard. I respect Bernard. I've learned a lot from Bernard in the ring, out of the ring. But I am a fighter. And if that's a situation that made financial sense, and it made sense, it was in demand, and he called for it and wanted it, I'm going to step to the plate. So I don't want to get that misconstrued. But, I'm more interested in fighting guys that are within my legacy. I mean, excuse me, not my legacy, within, what am I trying to say here? Within, basically my era. That's the word I'm looking for. That, the young guys, the guys that are coming up. So that's kind of my focus. But at the same time, if a situation presented itself, I don't back down from the fight. So, I would be open for it, absolutely.
Maybe it's a question more appropriate for Dan Goose. And Dan, would you like to make that match?
I think Andre said it best. We've had that conversation, and if it was something that Bernard wanted to engage in, it would certainly be something that I think would be a tremendous pay-per-view fight.
Agreed. Best of luck, both guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Lynn Satterfield with The Ring.
Hey, Andre, how you doing?
Hey, Lynn, how you doing, buddy?
I'm blessed. I know you're focused. I just heard, and I know you're focused on Edwin, but I do want to ask you, picking up on the last question, you talked about your legacy. Just briefly, if you could address what it would be like to fight a Golovkin or a Kovalev or a, Stevenson, and how they would add to your legacy.
Well, I mean, with all due respect, those guys got a lot of buzz right now. And, they're being pushed as the boogeyman in the division. Golovkin in the super middleweight division, Stevenson and Kovalev in the light heavyweight division, and that's fine. I don't see a win over either one of those guys right now catapulting me to, half the Floyd Mayweather or something like that. But to be perfectly honest, I mean, that's not even, and I use this phrase a lot, I'm eating, sleeping, and drinking Edwin Rodriguez. Like, those guys are not even something that's on my mind right now at all. It's about Edwin. It's about defending my title. It's about the return. It's about November 16th. And that's as far as I can take it right now.
Andre, thanks for answering my question. Now I'll move on. Speaking of Edwin, you and I have talked in the past. You've always kind of felt like you needed that extra push to get you. You were always motivated, but you're always looking for some kind of disrespect, something to get you motivated. It sounds to me like you're pretty motivated for this fight, and that the drug testing may have been that part of that. Is that accurate?
Oh, that's just part of it, and it's not even really something that is, got me running extra miles in training camp. I mean, the fact that, I'm back And unfortunately, my return has been overshadowed by some of this this drug testing talk. But again, it is what it is. It happens. I'm hungry enough just getting the opportunity to lace them up against a good competitor and to be able to defend my belts. That's what's motivating me. And being away for a year, that's what's motivating me. And the fact that Edwin is coming to try to take something from me, that's motivating me. So those are the real motivating factors. This other stuff is just stuff that happens. It comes up. It's part of boxing. And you deal with it, you address it, and you move on. But I have plenty of motivation and plenty of hunger, whether that was brought up or not.
Andre, thanks a lot. And Edwin, you there?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man? You doing well?
I'm doing great. Yes, sir.
Okay. This is obviously the biggest fight of your career. Is there anybody that you fought that you can remotely compare to Andre in terms of his ability, his stature, and name? And just talk about what this represents for you. You said you want to look great. Put into words what this means to you.
It means a lot. It's my first world title, and like Andre mentioned, I'm trying to take something from him. I feel like he's trying to do the same. I'm undefeated. He's trying to take that away from me. I'm ready. I'm really motivated to face the best super middleweight in the planet. That's enough motivation right there. I'm fighting the best guy on my weight class in the world, and I'm trying to change that. I'm working hard to accomplish. It'll be a big accomplishment for me in my career, so I'm coming.
Our next question
Okay, go ahead, Andre.
With Comcast Sports.
Hey guys, how you doing?
How you doing?
Great. Well, my first question would be for Edwin. I think you showed against Grachev that your work with Victor Conte has paid off, and your own issues with a torn rotator cuff are behind you. You showed that you could get inside and overpower him, but I got to tell you, aside from Floyd, I don't think there's a better fighter at gauging his distance, or as Virgil Hunter says, the kill zone, better than Andre Ward. So what have you gone over with Ronnie Shields to not only get inside, but to keep yourself from running into that same wall that power punchers like Carl Froch did when they tried to get inside on Andre Ward?
Ronnie Shields is a great trainer. I have the pleasure of being able to work with Ronnie for a few years now. I have been able to learn a lot, and he came up with a perfect game plan for this fight. I just got to be able to put it together and execute on November 16th and continue to adapt as the fight goes on, round by round.
Is there anything specific, though, that you've talked about with Ronnie, as far as, when you get inside? I think Andre's short shots inside, those are always an issue as far as a lot of power punchers who try to get inside on him.
I think it's more about being able to not just fight inside, but being able to do and be, fight him in the outside and inside, all over the place. Like, it's not going to be a fight where it's going to be determined where a fighter's going to, take over the inside or the outside. It's going to be being able to adapt to the things that he's doing right and adapting to it and doing my own thing right and keep moving to different things, because he's a smart fighter and he's able to cash on to these things.
Thanks, Edwin. Andre, my question for you is, I think Dan might have asked it earlier in the call, but as far as this is the return, and with that said, you've had to overcome a litany of injuries in your past, whether it was the knee or the broken hand against Froch. In this case, has the preparation for this return been any different from any of your past camps having to come back from an injury?
No, I think, with all due respect, I think some of the injury talk is kind of getting blown out of proportion. I think, with the Fox fight, leading up to the Fox fight, I had a situation, and it's my fault. It's a rookie mistake. I didn't put a pad on my hand. That was one of my last couple sparring sessions. I hit it down top of the head, and what happened. But before that, never had any hand problems. With the knee, that's playing basketball, 24-hour fitness. I'm not a basketball player, so, those kind of things happen. But outside of, something like that, like this is my first major injury in the sport. Again, it was something I was already injured. It just got to a point where it needed to be fixed. So I think some of the injury talk, and some of the delays and stuff, I think everything has been minor. There hasn't been a delay that it's not like I've been injured to the point to where injuries have stopped me from winning a title, or injuries have never given me the opportunity to compete for a title. Like, it's not, I think it's a little overstated. But with any setback, you gotta, I think people understand that the mentality it takes to battle back from not just injuries, but layoffs. I mean, it was a frustrating time after the Frost fight. Dan and I and my team, we had plenty of conversations about coming back for a tune-up fight before the Dawson fight. It wasn't able to happen. So, there's always roadblocks and things you got to overcome in this sport. And this is just another one.
And I guess one more question for you, Andre. And we actually spoke about this right after the Froch fight when I interviewed you for CSN, or excuse me, the Dawson fight. You're coming off that fight where you showed the public that you can be exciting, where you showed you can finish an opponent in exciting fashion. And do you think with the way that Edwin likes to come forward and make good fights, make good brawls, do you think it could make for the type of matchup that could allow you to show off your skills the same way you did against Dawson last year?
Well, I think, it depends on the opponent. It depends on the type of fight. And with all due respect, I think I've shown off my skills, in every fight that I've been in. You have to understand that every fight's not going to look the same. I know boxing is in an era right now where if it's not blood and guts, it's not exciting, quote-unquote exciting. But, this is a sport where I've been prepared and trained from a kid to be a master. And to take away my opponent's strengths and exploit their weaknesses. And that's what it boils down to. Then getting home to my wife and kids. That's what it boils down to. I think that, people really watching my fight. I'm not a reluctant warrior. I love banging on the inside. I love doing all those things. It's just going to be on our terms. We're just not going to go in there and a 50-50 fight where you swing and I swing and let's see what happens. Like, that's disrespectful to the time and the effort and the years and the grind that, my coach has put into the sport, and his coach before him taught him. That's just not how we get down. And, so I don't know what type of fight you guys are looking for, and I can't even tell you how this fight is going to look, but I can tell you that I paid my dues in preparation for this fight to get my hand raised, and that's what's important.
I'm looking forward to seeing both you guys, and good luck with the rest of camps, and see you guys soon.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Robert with FightNews.com.
To take it back to boxing, I've noticed, Edwin, that you've covered some serious ground, not unlike Glenn Johnson. I mean, you fought Fargo, North Dakota, Key West, Florida, and then obviously Monte Carlo. There were some challenges in that, obviously. Can you talk about that? And does that help you prepare for taking on a different type of challenge and facing somebody of Ward's stature?
I think that being able to fight all the different styles that I have fought all over different countries and being able to be in that type of position got me ready for this fight. I'm not saying that the people that I fought are any level close to Ward's level, but I think that they did some things that were good that Andre Ward does as well, and I think putting it all together, I'm ready for this.
It always seems like there is some added challenge in the traveling, going off to a new place, and all these things, which is a more challenge to your focus. Do you feel like this sort of little bit off the top has made it easier for you to focus and just keep your mind right on the ring?
Definitely. I think that being able to come to Houston, Texas, and work with Ronnie, where I'm just focusing about boxing, has helped me.
Thank you much. Best fortune to you.
Thank you.
And that was our last question in the queue.
All right. Well, thank you very, very much, operator. Edwin, why don't you say something in closing as it relates to the fight itself?
November 16th, it's a fight that I'm looking to make a statement and become world champion of the world against a great fighter. I'm ready for this. I'm excited. Wait for the boxing to come to show the world. Everyone that don't believe that I could get it done, I'll get it done November 16th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andre.
All the sponsors and everything. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Andre?
No worries.
I'm just excited. I'm excited. I'm hungry. I prepared my mind and my body for battle. And at this point, which is days away. Don't miss it. It's going to be a great show on HBO, The Return. And I got a hungry challenger, but I'm a hungry champion. And those are ingredients for a tremendous fight.
Well, thank you, Andre. In closing from me, we've got a great card top to bottom. We've got one of our super middleweights, Brandon Gonzalez, taking on another undefeated fighter in Johnny Nelson. For those of you that saw Brandon in his last fight on HBO, although this won't be on HBO, it's a high-profile fight for Brandon, just giving him that opportunity to get up there higher in those ratings. We also have our 2012 Mexican Olympian Oscar Molina going after his 8th straight win. He's from the class of 2012 with the other representative from Mexico, Oscar Valdez, the only 2 participants in the Olympics representing Mexico. Also have Juan Funes, who's out of the Ten Goose Gym. He'll be fighting in a 4-round fight, and of course, John Molina Jr., who is coming off his sensational 10-round KO of Mickey Bay a few months ago out in Las Vegas. So we've got a great night of boxing. The fight week schedules on our website at Goose and Tudor. There's some media applications there for anyone that is late in getting those out there. Again, thank you for joining us, and I appreciate it with the fighters, Andre and Edwin. We look forward to an exciting, great performance from both of you on the 16th. Thank you again, operator.
Thank you for joining us today. That concludes today's conference call.
The moderator has